From a head-on train collision in California that sent one man jumping for cover, and another in Norway that obliterated a truck that was stuck on the tracks, to a 3-story building in India that tumbled into an 80-foot construction pit, and an SUV in China that got knocked off a cliff and into a watery grave. Here are 10 more moments filmed seconds before disaster. Have you ever been stuck at a traffic signal you thought was broken? You look both ways and there isn't another car in sight. Meanwhile, the light is still red, and it has been for a while. Well, that was one Serbian man's reality when he got stuck at a railroad crossing. Or at least he thought he got stuck. He was driving outside of Belgrade, the capital city of Serbia. He arrived at the crossing just before the arms were coming down. Then he waited and waited and waited. His clock starts at the 16:20:09 mark. You can see his arm resting out the window. He doesn't seem to be in a rush and is more than happy to wait for the train, but the train never comes. A full minute passes and still no train. At what point would you think the signal was broken? Finally, around the 90-second mark, he gets out of his car to inspect the tracks. If a train were coming, he'd be able to see it by looking both ways, right? Satisfied, the man returns to his car and maneuvers around the crossing arm. As soon as his front tires touch the track, the train finally arrives. He panics and jumps out of the car instead of backing up. The train clips his hood. You can see where it's bent in from the impact. The drivers behind him come over to help. After some back and forth, they determine the car is undrivable. They work together to push it off the road. We assume someone came and towed it away afterward. Hopefully, this entire ordeal taught our driver a valuable lesson in patience. Ganzhou Prefecture is an autonomous region in the western part of Sichuan Province, China. It's home to over 1 million people and a few very unlucky drivers. It was December 10th of 2016. Spectators watched as a black SUV dangled over the edge of a steep cliff. It looks like the road was wet with rain. We can assume the driver lost control and narrowly avoided falling over the edge. That's when a trailer arrived to save them, only to suffer a similar fate.
明显感觉有点打滑了，你发现没有？有点歪过去歪过来那种。哎呦，我的妈妈耶！有，这样子刹不住了噻。
感觉不起没有。
呀，乖乖。哎呀。哇呵。哎呀！哎呀，我的妈妈！
According to local reports, nobody was hurt when the car initially fell. The driver escaped long before their SUV slid into the water. Now they had a bigger problem on their hands. The SUV was slowly sinking, and their only rescue vehicle was stuck in the same spot. The city of Skien is one of the oldest in all of Norway. Located about 2 hours south of Oslo, it has a rich history dating back hundreds of years. That means they've seen technology come a long way. Back on April 29th of 2020, 3 marvels of modern tech all came head to head. A flatbed truck was carrying a speedboat when it got stuck on the train tracks. The crossing arms came down as the drivers called for help. And, to make matters worse, a speeding train was fast approaching. All they could do was stand by and watch. That boat got absolutely obliterated. Look at all the debris scattered alongside the train. We assume the conductor hit the brakes when they saw the roadblock, but that train would never stop in time. Things got really scary when the train started bouncing off the tracks. One wrong move, and it could have careened through the nearby houses. Thankfully, only a handful of people were on the train when it smashed into the truck. According to reports, one person was taken to the hospital for minor bumps and bruises, and we're not sure how the truck got stuck on the tracks. It might have just chosen the absolute worst moment to run out of gas. Problem solving is one of those high-demand skills that employers want to see when hiring. They want employees who can think on a dime and save the company money while still getting the job done. These employees in the Dominican Republic won't be returning for a second interview. It was April 27th of 2018. A group of men were tasked with moving a massive tractor up a steep hill. So they loaded it onto a flatbed, assuming the truck was more than capable. And just when things looked like they were going well, disaster struck. As the story goes, they were transporting a D9L tractor from Santo Domingo to the town of Sanchez in the Dominican Republic. The tractor was simply too heavy for the flatbed they had on hand. It's unclear how far they traveled like that before reaching the hill. Things went sideways when the flatbed's tires came off the ground. It veered right when the front left tire came up. Soon, the whole cab was off the road, meaning the driver had no way of controlling it. Maybe next time, they'll just drive the tractor up the hill instead. Bangalore, India is the capital and largest city in the southern state of Karnataka. It sits about 3,000 feet above sea level on the Deccan Plateau and is home to about 8.4 million people. On July 28th of 2020, construction workers in Bangalore were making room for a new high-rise building. They began by digging an 80-foot hole for the foundation. Unfortunately, they made it too wide. The ground below an apartment building began to erode. It was only a matter of time before it came crashing down. Imagine standing there watching everything you own fall into an 80-foot hole. Imagine you're the construction worker who dug the hole, or the foreman who approved the plans. Thankfully, nobody was inside the building when it collapsed. The locals noticed cracks in the walls and quickly evacuated. By then, another building had already fallen into the pit. Theirs was doomed to follow. According to police, the owner of the project would face legal action, and we're not sure what became of them or if the high-rise was ever completed. Kismet, California is a small town outside of Fresno. Other than a few farms and a handful of people, the area is generally quiet. The loudest thing they'll hear all day are trains heading up and down the nearby tracks. On June 14th of 2006, two of those trains were on a collision course with each other. Both were Burlington Northern freight trains, BNSF number 4059 and BNSF number 4479. One was heading north, the other was heading south. A violent collision was imminent after one of them missed their interlocking signal. Aftermath photos show how much damage a head-on train can cause. Everyone in those front cars was lucky to make it out alive. Look closely, and you can see the engineer of the incoming train leap from the cab moments before impact. His train was only traveling at 22 miles per hour. To him, it was slow enough to make the jump. Meanwhile, 4479 was traveling at 38 miles per hour. Too fast and too risky. The Federal Railroad Administration determined that 4059, the train we see coming toward us, missed their interlocking signal and was responsible for the crash. That's likely why they were traveling slower. The engineer knew he'd made a grave mistake. Chatham, Illinois is a village of about 14,000 people outside the Springfield metro area. While they aren't normally worried about tornadoes, one can still strike at any moment. On June 29th of 2023, a powerful derecho sent straight-line winds roaring through the neighborhood. With them came 5 separate tornadoes, all touching down in various areas around Chatham Village. One local man was recording in his garage when one of those tornadoes passed near his home. You can't help but feel bad for this man. The way he pleads no, 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 knowing there's nothing he can do about the storm. By the time it passes, his yard is unrecognizable. The tornado in this video was the strongest of the 5 that touched down that day. It was an EF2 storm that began near the intersection of Curran and Spalding Orchard Roads. By the time it reached our cameraman's house, it was strong enough to rip his anchored basketball hoop clean out of the ground. The storm peaked at about 120 miles per hour as it tracked a 9-mile path of destruction through town. New Delhi, India is the world's most populated capital city, with over 32 million people living in the metro area. Unfortunately, they breathe some of the most polluted air on Earth. In fact, the situation is so bad that some have called it a crime against humanity. All that smog can lower visibility to a few feet. It makes driving on the already crowded roads even more dangerous. On November 8th of 2017, an extra thick coat of smog descended on the Yamuna Expressway near the capital. It led to what local reports called a serial pileup of cars.
अरे टोल पे बने करो टोल पे
Spectators were pleading with people to get out of their cars. You could hardly see 20 feet ahead. There was no telling when another car would come flying in. 13 vehicles crashed into the pile that morning. 6 people had to be treated for minor injuries. Thankfully, everyone was okay in the end. Air pollution in the area was 10 times above the safe limit. Fine particulate matter smaller than 2.5 microns, which is small enough to enter your lungs, peaked at 742 micrograms per cubic meter. The World Health Organization's safe limit is 60 per cubic meter. All that smoke arrives in the winter, when cold air traps construction dust, emissions, and smoke from crop burning. As you can see, it's not just dangerous to breathe, it's dangerous to drive in. Helan County is a small region in the Ningxia Hui Autonomous Region of central China. It's home to about 180,000 people and a group of gas station workers who double as firefighters. November 23rd of 2019 was a busy day at the local pump. A white box truck pulled in for a fill-up when the attendant noticed they were leaking gas. The driver clearly had places to be because he didn't seem to care. Maybe he should have gotten that fixed. If you look closely, you can see gasoline dripping from the back of the truck. The driver peers his head out the window but doesn't think it's too important. Then, boom! The van goes up in flames. Luckily, there's enough room for the driver to escape once the flames settle down. Everyone evacuates the area. Gas station employees swoop in with fire extinguishers to fight the blaze. It looks like the driver walks around the truck and opens a side door. Perhaps he was carrying something flammable. It would explain why everything kept burning so violently. They finally put the fire out. By then, the back of the truck is nothing but charred metal. Now, we're not sure what sparked the blaze. There may have been a spark when the driver started his truck. The fire seemed to start right under his seat. The Indian state of Himachal Pradesh is known for heavy rain and frequent landslides. As the northernmost state in India, it's also known as the snow-laden mountain province. Himachal literally translates to "in the lap of Himalayas." Steep mountains and heavy rainfall mean landslides can strike at any moment. Thankfully, the locals can spot the warning signs. On August 10th of 2018, one local biker didn't get the landslide memo. His casual ride almost cost him his life. There's a reason those cars were stopped up ahead. We imagine someone saw smaller rocks tumbling down the mountain before the main landslide. You can even see the debris from a previous landslide strewn across the road. Our friend on the scooter clearly had places to be. If he had stalled for 1 second, he would have been crushed by the freak landslide. He's probably getting a stern talking to on the other side, though his near brush with death was probably a good enough lesson. If you enjoyed this video and want to see another one just like it, then be sure to click the link on screen now. With that, thanks for watching and be sure to tune in next time.